practice.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
You play to win the game.
I want winners. I want people that want to win.
If you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke, is what it is.
You can't get a draw? A tie? Against Trinidad? Matt, you don't deserve to go to the World Cup. Nate.
Dumbest team in America.
You cannot be serious!
Get some facts and come back and see me.
I got my extra bands on.
It's been a while, folks, but we are back and bigger and ready to get back on schedule. Welcome in, folks, to a Tuesday night edition of the Intergalactic Sports and Entertainment Network's signature sports talk show. That, of course, folks, is the Sports Zone on this final day of May, Tuesday night, May 31st, 2022, alongside our co-founder and Chief Executive Officer of Ison Programming here, our good man, John Alcorn from deep in the heart of Houston, Texas. Yours truly, Cal McClurg, back with you folks after a long extended break due to the conclusion of my 21-22 announcing season. Joining you here from our home base in San Diego, California, Mr. Alcorn, great to see you again. I know it's been a while with me being away from programming, but of course, glad that we have our Star Wars coverage here now with yourself and Trevor Williams. We're going to be getting back to the Marvel pod pretty soon. But John, as always, man, good to see you. Good to hear you, man. How we doing tonight?
We're good. Glad to be here. Certain sports news not happy about, but we talked about that before the show. Just happy to be here and glad I'm not a Browns fan.
Yeah, a lot going on, folks. And want to first and foremost, again, folks, kind of in a way first, and I think John would probably agree with me here, is, again, folks, we have said this for a bit here. I think I've been more vocal about this, but again, thanks again, folks, for sticking with us here. And also, we sincerely apologize, folks, for the very long delays here with programming. We're trying to get some more guys on board. But again, right now, schedules, at least now, are kind of clearing up for me now at this stage. But again, thankfully, we've had John and Trevor being able to do our Across the Galaxy podcast. We'll be having the Marvel podcast returning. So, John, I think just kind of before we, in fact, get into the sports talk tonight, is kind of, we've been kind of stuck in this holding pattern, sadly, because, I've been back to work and finishing out my year. We've had some, some things kind of fall through the cracks, but also we kind of talked about this a little bit, though, as well, though, John. We had a lot of great, ambitious ideas, but they really haven't taken off just yet. And this is all early right now at this stage of us talking, sports entertainment here. But certainly, though, John, big ups to you, though, and Trevor, for keeping this going. But I think just, John, if there's anything you want to probably say in regards to maybe the long delays with programs here, this is your time to go ahead and do so, my man.
I think when people do sports podcasting or start a network, it's not like getting a job at Subway or getting no disrespect to them. I've done working with food and retail. It's truly awful. But a lot of time and commitment. And I think it's the first thing I was talking about Trevor with this. I'm used to doing so much and trying to do so much at once that it kind of ruins the project that you kind of get burnt out. That being said, love doing this. It's a huge passion. It's just tough trying to get people to some people out there that we may not know or get out of our comfort zone to believe in the product and be a part of that. We know what MI6 did for 2 years, rest in peace, but it's just really, it's going to be a process. We're going to be here, folks. We just need your patience, and anybody else interested, let us know. But more importantly, we're going to be here for the long run. And I know it doesn't look like it right now, but we're going to take one day at a time, but we're going to be here. This is the way.
And again, folks, I more so apologize, but also with the long year I've had this year with all the stuff I've been doing, though, with work and stuff like that. And, there's been days where I've thought about coming on and doing a program, but then, really wasn't quite feeling, enough stamina left in the tank to get through the day. So now that, folks, we're in this part of the calendar year, though, here late May, June coming here very soon. We're going to have more time, folks, to do more programming and stuff. So if you have perhaps just if you've been, waiting to see, Marvel content, more Star Wars content, or more ideas that we've had, though, it is coming. Now that we do, though, have a bit of a clearer picture, now that we are, in fact, entering June, and I have more free time and available time now, we'll be getting back on the grind here. So, again, folks, just want to kind of get that, kind of clarify that real quick here. So we have plenty of ideas still, and more content is coming as more time goes on. But as always, folks, we will take your input, though, on all things in the sports world again tonight. Questions, comments, concerns, live chat box if you're tuning in via Facebook, via Twitter, or via our YouTube page. And again, you can find us across your favorite social platforms as well at the bottom of your screen. Want to first shout out my good man, David Frecker, the GOAT of San Diego sports photography, with a bunch of exclamation points. We are, in fact, live on the air here on this Tuesday. With that, John, jumping into our sports content today, my man, it is a all too perhaps familiar sight in baseball, John. But Phillies manager Joe Girardi, my man, says he is, quote unquote, not worried right now about his job security as the Phillies continue to struggle right now and losing another game today in extra innings to the San Francisco Giants. And, John, this has been a prolonged issue that I have seen, though, over the past several seasons with the Phillies, but has come more to light this season. And I have for the longest time said this, John, I don't blame any of the Phillies struggles at all one bit on Joe Girardi. I truly, wholly believe that more of this goes on the Phillies front office, because it seems like, John, in the past, I'd say 3 to 5 years, and more so in the past 3 years, I'd say, since signing Bryce Harper to this, very big 13-year contract with no opt-outs, and it's a huge hit on the team's payroll, that it's more about let's get the flashier guys on offense. Let's not shore up our defense. Let's not shore up the pitching staff, the rotation, or the bullpen. And that, I think, is just something out of the control of the manager, because this is all being dictated and done, John, by the front office and by the GM spot right now, and Dave Dombrowski, who's a very well-respected man in baseball. But, John, we know, though, about markets like Philadelphia. We know how that fan base is life and death with the Eagles and the Phils and the Sixers and the Flyers and the Union and the Philadelphia Wings, though, John. And we know that when the going gets tough, though, they don't want to hear, excuses. They want guys traded. They want the manager or head coach fired. They want the entire front office fired. And, John, I just think, though, it's kind of in a way a raw deal, because this is not Joe Girardi's fault for why this ball club seems to find ways to either lose games late, they can't hold leads, or why that they always seem to go out there and sign these big-name bats like Nick Castellanos or Kyle Schwarber or a Bryce Harper, but they don't do other things to patch up the bullpen or the starting rotation or anywhere else. But it's always about the lineup. So, John, in your mind, Joe Girardi again saying he is not concerned or not worried about his job security. But, John, knowing it's Philadelphia, and I know it's late May, though, but, John, is there in your mind reason for concern with how the Phillies have scuffled recently? I think they've lost like their last 3 or 4 games, all in extra innings, because of the bullpen not doing their job. But, John, is it fair, though, in your mind, to pin all the blame for the Phillies' struggles in May, here in late May, solely on the manager in your mind and Joe Girardi? Yes, no, or why?
No, but I think it's everybody's fault, because the fact is the Phillies haven't been to the World Series since 2008, and the only thing Philly's known for is now the team is barely in the Philly cheesesteak as it is. And as much as we love to tease and to roast Isaiah, this team has been an absolute laughter stock. Just going back to some of this team literally is struggling. I remember, I think, seeing in something in the group chat where they are making stupid field errors that they can't even hit, like pick up a bunt. These team doesn't know how to hit. And so part of it, you blame on the pitching coach, you blame on the staff that's not developing these players. But at the same time, at some point, I think even if you got the right players, like you say, it goes back to the front office. We can always blame the players for not developing as it is for certain other players in a certain other sports league. But the Phillies are an absolute disaster. I don't know how. You might as well just give up and fold on the season. I get it's only May and it's not a freak out. The Phillies have a hot streak and then they go downhill. But to put it all on him, I think is unfair. Because I think, like I said, you also got to put some blame on the staff members that are not successfully developing mentally and physically these players. Because they play a huge role. And if they're not also doing their job, let's say the front office got the right staff. But if those physical, I don't know what you call them in baseball, then they also have to do their job because you can't do the basics and the fundamentals. It's going to be a long flipping season, but I don't blame all of it on him. But to say that he's not worried about his job, that is the biggest load of Falui I've ever heard in my life. Because any player or coach that says, no, I'm not afraid I'm going to lose my job, you hear breaking news, they lose their job.
John, I have a tweet I want to read here from a very good colleague of mine who is in Philadelphia, Sean McMiniman, who works at Temple University. And Sean put this out on Twitter just before we took the air tonight here on ISIM. Sean tweets, Joe Girardi has to be fired tomorrow. He has single-handedly cost this team wins on too many occasions. It's time to let him go and try to turn things around in the middle, around mid-season. Hashtag ring the bell. And again, though, John, I think it's, for me, though, from someone who played baseball, knowing how long of a grind of a season it is, John, I am very reluctant to fire a manager 2 full months into the season. And again, like I said, though, about Philadelphia and things like that. But John, I think, though, if this was the NFL, maybe the NBA, I could probably see a move being made early in the season because you don't have, a whole, 6, you have, 6 months, but not as much, not as many games as baseball has over the course of, 6 seasons full. But certainly, though, John, there's some fans out there saying, it's time for Girardi to go, though. But John, do you believe, though, it would be unfair in your mind to fire a coach in baseball after not even 2 full months of the season because of maybe decisions he has made in your mind, or what do you think?
It would be absolutely unfair. I think, and not because I'm a fan of him. Like, I'm not a fan of the Phillies. I could care less what happens in terms of like their overall record. But this is one of the many, many reasons why they haven't been and had a World Series win since the days when Blockbuster was somehow relevant. Is that you're so easy to fire him now because it's tough. And magically, you think that when you fire him, all your problems are going to be solved. Magically, when you fire him, everybody's going to be able to hit a 98-mile fastball. They're going to be able to hit the bunts and get a ton of runs. No, it's not, because he goes and everything changes. Because, like we said, if he's not the only part of the problem, only fixing part of the problem is not going to get you a full solution. I don't know what the full solution is for the Phillies. Their season, regardless, is not going to go anywhere in terms of trying to compete for a championship. Firing him isn't going to do anything. And it's hard in sports, but you have to be patient. Even though, I get you want to fire him, but what is that going to do? We've seen in other sports where you fire a guy mid-season because it's going terrible, and then it doesn't change. It could have been so easy, though, for Boston. I know I'm talking about like the Boston. It could be easy, 18-21. It's so tempting. Wait till after the season, regardless of what happens. I'm not saying the Phillies are going to go to the World Series, but you just never know, and you can't assume because you fire one guy, it's going to solve all the problems. Because you've seen this in sports before. When you put the blame game, or the what is the word? When you blame one person, their fallback.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, they're a scapegoat. And if they do it, then it's their scapegoat, meaning they're not going to address the actual problems within the organization.
Yeah, again, folks, Joe Girardi, the manager of the Phillies, told reporters before a recent game he is, quote unquote, not worried about his job security as the Phillies continue to struggle. And again, they also lost on Tuesday in 11 innings at home to the Giants after, again, a late 9th inning rally did come to fruition. But again, they lost the game, though, in 11. A couple of thoughts real quick. My good man, Chris Davis, asking about his Colorado Avalanche. We'll talk about them, CD, a little later in the show, so stick around for that. And also my good man as well, Jacob Crawford, says they must hate their fans the same way their fans hate the rest of us in regards to Philadelphia. But also, I think, though, it's a very fair comparison, or at least talking point, Jake, because let's also remember, though, as well, though, man, Alec Bohm made 3 errors earlier in a game and said that he effing hated this place. And what did the fan base do the next day? They booed him the entire game after he made 3 errors. So certainly, Jake, it's a very fair observation for sure with that in mind. John, over now to the NFL, man. We have one major story that we're kind of keeping an eye on here, And that is a pretty interesting report that came out from ESPN.com saying that Rams defensive line player Aaron Donald would quote unquote be at peace if himself and the Rams could not agree on a new contract over the offseason. And John, this is certainly one, though, my man, that I think it is worth keeping an eye on, because this would kind of be one of those stories, though, my man, of a guy going out on top after winning the championship last year, that great Super Bowl victory for the Rams in their home stadium over the Bengals. And I think that it just kind of seems to me, though, John, that I kind of want to see Donald keep playing, but also get that contract. But I know you probably can't do so because of where maybe other money is out right now with maybe Stafford or Darrell Henderson or OBJ or, whoever else may be getting paid some big buku bucks. But John, what do you make, though, about the reports and about Aaron Donald's current mindset right now as we sit here going into June and inching closer to the NFL season?
If I'm Aaron Donald at this point, even without the ring, even 3 to 4 years ago, he was already a future first ballot Hall of Famer. In my genuine opinion, I think he was the closest thing we've seen to Lawrence Taylor since Lawrence Taylor he's this generation's Lawrence Taylor in terms of, if you have to game plan your whole offensive scheme against one defensive player the whole game, and if you have to have 3 to 4 plus guys just to have a chance to stop him from getting to your quarterback, that's how special he is. Consistently defensive player of the year again and again and again. People tend to forget that, yeah, J.J. Watt had a chance to do that, but he had injuries. Aaron Donald's been consistent for most part. You had what J.J. Watt could have done, but injuries got in the way. Clowney injuries. And if I'm Donald, what is the point of coming back? Because I'm pretty sure the Rams don't even have enough money to get a Diet Coke at 7-Eleven. Because I'm pretty sure they are above the cap right now. I'm trying to find what it is, but it's not good. You don't have enough. You don't have no money for OBJ. You signed Allen Robinson in free agency. You have, I believe it was Allen Robinson. Michelle is there. Everybody's there. Obviously, you're not bringing Todd Gurley back because he hasn't been there in a while. He's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Enjoying the sun. Go like Andrew Whitworth did. You had a Hall of Fame career. You just needed that ring to put the icing on the cake, because you see so many players, they did all these great things. You put up great numbers, MVP. But what's the one thing that's missing? That ring. And Aaron Donald got it. I'm happy for him. I hope he retires. But thank you, Chris. Under $60 million. So they're going to literally have to give them their daughter's phone number, sell the Social Security, sell the farm, sell your car, everything. And I know this is going to sound like an Isaiah, but I mean, Mike Brown, I need you to open up your checkbook, because you have the money. You got the second or third best quarterback in the draft. This is a perfect opportunity. If he's tempted to come back, the Rams can't afford it. I know Bengals aren't going to do it, but it's just a random suggestion.
So again, thank you, Chris, for the quick research. The Rams, $16.6 million of that cap space. John, I would agree with you, though, in regards to the going out on top feeling that this would probably be for Aaron Donald, is being able to, just think about that. You're going out as a champ, and, all the, sacrifices made, though. But then, though, I think this is going to be a very unfair comparison. But, John, let's just kind of say, though, that this kind of becomes a bit of a Brady situation. He retires for a bit, and then all of a sudden he gets that itch to come back and play, though, and stuff like that happens, though. John, could that be a thing that maybe does happen with Aaron Donald, though? Maybe it's like, he ponders it, he goes, he gets away, then he does, in fact, go that route, though, and then maybe decides to come back. Do you think that Do you believe that may, in fact, be a logical thing? Yes or no?
No doubt. He already turned 31, so he's still in prime years for another contract. If Bob Miller can get a 6-year contract, which obviously most of that's probably voidable at his age, at 33, 34 years old. If he does retire and someone through the season comes back, Mike Brown, I am telling you, we really need that type of player on defense. We don't have that true leader on defense for the Bengals. Mike Brown, I'm giving you free advice. You don't have to pay me, but if you do, I'll give you my address for a check. But with that being said, I could see that happening, but I don't, as much as I think about it more, I don't see it happening. I think he retires. Even though he's super competitive, Brady just wants to fill up his fingers. Well, Donald already has the one finger with the ring, and you can leave it up to interpretation on the finger.
Yeah, I still think, though, that he's going to weigh all options, but I really think, though, that this becomes like not really a catch-22, though, but I would not be surprised if he probably just says, you know what? And I think, John, I more agree with you, though, is it's more of like, what else did I have? What all that I have left to prove to people out there was just got to get the ring. And I think that now that he's got that, it wouldn't surprise me, though. But then you kind of think about, getting that itch again to come back and play once more. But again, folks, and Donald said, quote, he would be at peace if him and the Rams cannot come to a new contract agreement again following last year's spectacular season for the Rams. And, of course, the Rams winning the Super Bowl in Inglewood last season. A couple more thoughts. Jacob Crawford also says about brotherly love in regards to the fans in Philadelphia. And Jacob, with probably the best comment so far, in regards to the Rams cap space, he says, man, almost Evander Kane's debt worth. Man, that is a body slam from Jake off the top rope right there here inside the Sports Zone. With that, John, over to the NBA. The NBA Finals coming our way later on in the week between the Boston Celtics, the Eastern Conference champs, taking on the Western Conference champion Golden State Warriors, back in the finals after a bit of a time getting themselves back on track after, again, dealing with injuries to Curry and Thompson over the past couple of years. And again, the Celtics coming out of the Eastern Conference after that great Game 7 win over the Miami Heat. So, John, more so, though, man, two teams who we probably thought would be back in contention, but not on this stage, though, of being in the finals here for the first time, I think, in 50 years that we see Golden State, or the Warriors for that matter, playing Boston for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. And, John, I would say, though, man, that it's, like I said, though, it's two teams who I kind of feel like they'll win through their fair share of adversity either this season or over the past 2 to 3 years. Again, Golden State coming off that dynasty again, the 73 wins and all that across the board, though, with them. And also with Boston, like we said, though, a bit in the open here, J.A., this club was 18-21 and probably on the verge of firing Ime Udoka because we had, Brad Stevens leave in the offseason and what that may have meant maybe for the team's morale, though. Then again, the Warriors, again, Curry and Thompson beat up, banged up, chewed up, and spit out, though, over the past couple of seasons with, with injuries. Clay working himself back from 2 major injuries over the past couple of seasons. And now here we are, though, John, I believe, though, literally 50 years later from when they first met in the finals, I think. Celtics, Warriors in the finals. John, your thoughts on the series, and more so, again, about how these two teams really had to overcome a lot of adversity, man, to get back to this big stage for the NBA.
And this is the really awesome. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the Warriors. They took a couple of rings from my Cavs, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's really interesting because we talked after the 2019 – I'll say we – myself and a couple other people, after the 2019 finals when the Raptors won, that we weren't sure if Klay Thompson not necessarily was going to, play basketball again, if he was ever going to play again. And to now be 2.5 to 3 years later to being in the finals to compete for their 15, 16, 17, 18, their 6th championship appearance in 8 seasons. I believe he had a torn ACL or something pretty close to that.
And then he ripped his Achilles on draft night later on in the offseason.
And torn Achilles, I'm not a doctor, so don't hold me to it. But a torn Achilles doesn't guarantee that you'll come back and be 30% of what you were before. It's not guaranteed. We've seen with Adrian Peterson in the NFL. We've seen it with players in the NBA. And I don't know if you've seen it in soccer, but I know you've seen it in a ton of sports time and time again. That also doesn't neglect the fact how truly difficult that is. With that being said, though, I don't care. I am rooting against the Warriors in this. But like you said, 18-21, I've watched some games and highlights here and there. I don't know how you pinpoint at it, how the Celtics literally had the biggest turnaround that I've nearly seen in my life watching basketball. You literally won't even compete. You're competing for the 10th seed in the East. You were 18-21. Everything was stacked up against you, and you're worse than my Cavs. My Cavs. And now you're Now you're potentially 4 games away from having a ring on that finger. I think that's extremely special. In your first year head coach and not using him as a scapegoat, hats out to the Celtics. I don't know what they did, but hats off to them.
I think it's more of just Boston kind of weathering the storm recently and all the rumors, or more, not really rumors, more so just a lot of the banter across networks, podcast networks, national networks, of them saying that Tatum and Brown and Smart couldn't play together, and and those three had to be broken up, and that they've kept that core together. And they have, in a way, worked through it in regards to getting over those hurdles. Maybe round 1 exits, round 2, round 3. And also for the fact of the Celtics knocking out the top seed in the Eastern Conference is also, I think, a very amazing ordeal. And the fact that they also had to beat the Bucks, defending champs, in 7 games, and beat Miami in Game 7 as well along the way, is something I think is, that I think, though, John, is that I think we all agree here. There's always those moments in postseason play, maybe more in hockey, but maybe I think in every sport, there's that one play, or maybe more over the big picture. Actually, let me rephrase that. There's always like that moment during a team getting back on track, or a team winning the championship. You look back at certain moments during the course of the season with them doing something. And then we talked about the 18-21 start to the season. And I think, our good man, Ben Kearse, who's a huge Boston fan, kind of told us a couple days ago on, late night on a Sunday, he was talking about, what the Celtics were going through in regards to the entire ordeal of, 18-21, is Ime Udoka get fired, is Brad Stevens going to come back down? And that this team kind of took that on the chin, though, and they just, rode that momentum. Then you have Golden State, though. I think you were in the ballpark of 6 NBA finals in the past 8 seasons for Golden State. Again, turning around a ball club who for the longest time, was sadly at the bottom of the conference, because it was always the Lakers, or, always on top of the division, or on top of the conference. Now here they are, though, with their, amazing fan base now, that amazing arena. And here they are all of a sudden, catching fire. So with that, John, just bring me to the 3-word question now. NBA Finals, who you got, Boston or Golden State?
I remember saying this: if the Celtics won in Series 2, then I knew it wasn't just a great Cinderella temporary story. I said the Celtics won in round 2. I have them winning the whole thing, and I'm picking the Celtics in 6. It's not just because it's Golden State and they beat my Cavs multiple times. That's also a little bit on the back burner. Behind my brain, but I just think that this is too good. This would be the biggest redemption story I've seen in maybe not just in my lifetime, but in NBA history. To go from being one of the worst teams in the league in terms of overall record to now contending for a championship. But I say Celtics in 6, and it's going to be really exciting to see.
This one obviously is one that's a little interesting, or not interesting, but it's one that's obviously difficult if you are a, SoCal basketball fan, specifically if you're a Laker fan out there, having to see the big bad rivals in Boston, and also a team in your own division, your own state, playing for the title. And John, I just think I have to go with Golden State, because I feel like they just have a little bit more than Boston. But I love how Tatum has played this postseason. I know he's had some, ups and downs, and Brown and Smart have played great. But can the Celtics really defend the 3-point threats, though, of Curry and Thompson? Do they have enough size down low to, to clog up there against Draymond Green or anyone else, and especially with Jordan Poole coming off the bench? But I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I don't think it'll be a 5-game set. It may go 6, it may go 7, but I'm going to go probably with Golden State, because I just think, though, John, the Warriors are the Warriors, and they just have, I think, just a little bit more than Boston right now. But if Boston were to win the series, though, it is probably going to be, in my mind, one of the most hard, well-earned titles in recent basketball history, if you ask me, for a team who a lot of people had written off in the early part of the season. They knocked the head coaching hire of Udoka, and then they go out on top, though. So, John, I'm going to go Golden State, though, but I think I agree with, though, man. If the Celtics were to win it, though, it to me would probably feel like they would be like one of the more like harder earned championships probably in recent memory.
Oh, it has to be. Like I remember having to say followed basketball as much until the past couple seasons, but it has to be. I think even going back to the Cavs and 07, which they choked, they weren't able to get it. See the team time and time again where they come back, turn them back around. You go towards the end of the first round, second round, you get smoked. So I think this is more than just a Cinderella story. I wouldn't know how to describe it. I picked Boston, but I can't wait to watch it.
It will be a good finals, good folks. The NBA Finals coming away later on in the week. Game 1 from Chase Center in San Francisco, California. Again, Boston, Golden State, Game 1 coming up soon. Back to the comment box real quick. John Chris wrote in real quick. He said, one more thing on the Rams. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Donald equals nearly $59 million of the team's payroll right now.
Oh, dude. That hurts my brain. But
so
yeah,
one has to wonder if they can even afford to keep all three for next season, let alone Donald more so.
I think it's best time to let him go. This is one of those difficult financial decisions in sports where it's really hard to let go of that player. But we saw it in about a year and a half ago or so with Von Miller with the Broncos. We've seen it with certain other teams in the league. But I mean, they're gonna have to let him go. There's no way in any sports team. Let's say if it was, I don't know what the money situation is in soccer. Let's say it's basketball or hockey or anything like that. If you're under the cap by that much, just like the Saints, there's no way to rearrange all of that money. Stafford's not going to take a veteran minimum deal.
No,
neither should
John, I don't think any of those three are going to be taking any kind of pay cut anytime soon. That's for damn sure.
No, especially with Cooper Kupp having the Triple Crown last year, nearly in the MVP talks, nearly was the first receiver almost all time to get 2,000 yards. Why would you take a pay cut?
58.925. And further, Chris has a breakdown real quick, John. Stafford in 2024, 49.5, then 50 million in 2025, 2026 back to $49.5 million. There's no pay cut coming Stafford's way anytime soon.
Especially, he won the Super Bowl. He sealed his legacy as a future first ballot Hall of Famer with that game. How? Like, I don't know. There's no way. Like, I'm sorry, but this is the thing that people don't understand in sports is you pay your players. I get it, but it was bound to happen. It happened in 2018. Todd Gurley, then that injury. I tried to tell people that injury was very serious. It was right around the time we couldn't pay everybody. Certain players had to be let go, and this is the best time because in 2-3 years from now, we're going to look at a totally different team.
Totally, for sure. Again, thanks again, Chris, for some research again, folks. Matt Stafford's contract breakdown. He'll earn $49.5 million in 2024. That gets bumped up by $1 million to $50.5 in 2025, and then in 2026, it's back down to $49.5 million. And then Chris also says real quick as well, though, John, Donald is off the books in 2025. So there's still 3 more years to go on that contract.
If I'm Donald, don't play and you get paid, that's a sweet freaking deal. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, I get, like, you had some signs of injuries, but, like, you're 31, 32 years old. You already have 2 to 3 straight, I think, in defensive MVPs. Dude, just relax with your family and get paid. Like, I don't blame him.
Again, he'll come off the books per Chris in 2025. John, Jacob Crawford has a very interesting question about the Eastern Conference Finals. He says, gents, do you think the Heat got cheated or was it an all-around performance issue when they faced Boston in the conference final? Now, John, I think that Jacob is referencing the negated 3-pointer that I believe would have tied Game 7 or may have put Miami back in front, though. But, John, I don't think it's on that. I think it's just more that the Heat, you know, they had some injury problems, though, as the playoffs went on, though, and in the series, though. I just think a better team beat them, honestly, more than it was, maybe a 3-pointer getting wiped off the board.
Stop making so many dang freaking excuses. And this is the problem like I have with like, it's because of this one. No, it wasn't. You had injuries. You couldn't you weren't able to overcome those adversities. I'm not gonna get all mad at y'all at that as a team, but it happens. Teams go out to adversity. Golden State couldn't do it in 2019, but are we gonna make excuses? No. If you're gonna blame it solely on that, then I guess that would be insane to do. I think I saw that when they said it could have been like a 3 or something, but okay, we can have that type of argument. But that didn't change the game. You had too many injuries. Butler came out short, and I think and this is one of those we talked about with Donald and Stafford in the NFL. If Jimmy Butler does not get that ring, he's gonna be a guy that's a really good defensive player, but always comes short. They came up short. It's that simple. There's nothing else to it. They make excuses over and over and over. And I agree with Daniel, because if you do it just on that one shot, then you're kind of disservicing or discrediting the Celtics win in that game.
Daniel Tom says it right, though. He says, performance issue. Boston got hot at the right time. You can't put the blame on one shot in Game 7. Boston adjusted better, and there's a reason why they're playing Golden State. And I think that's more about the intangibles for sure. And Jacob also says, as a person from South Florida, my entire social media feed is filled with excuses on that conference. And definitely for sure with that, again, just more of things going on there. But I think it's more about, I think Daniel's more right here. It's a performance issue because the Celtics got hot, but also Boston made the adjustments to, win the series more than it was about them missing a shot. And Jacob also says, thanks, guys, for clearing it up. Yeah, certainly, certainly though, Jake, I don't think it's certainly not about the negated 3. The Heat just could not get themselves back in order against Boston. I think that Daniel, I think hit the nail right on the head, though, is that the Celtics more so adjusted better. But also, I think, though, injuries are a thing, though, but that guys just didn't step up. And more so, Jacob, in my opinion, this was more about Jimmy Butler playing against the Celtics. I mean, it was mainly him and no one else really stepping up to take the scoring pressure off him. Like there was, I think, John, he had at least, to me, it felt like he had a 45 or 50 point game every other game. It seemed like no one else woke up to help him out.
And the thing is, though, if this was turned around and this happened to Boston instead of the Heat, they're like, oh, okay, Jimmy Butler got back to the finals. They were going to get it done. I don't think they would have had this much of a conversation at all. I think there was so much more on the line for Jimmy Butler in the Heat than it was for Boston. So if it was the other way around, I don't think we would really have this conversation, in my opinion.
Daniel Ferber says, John and I agree, next man up mentality. And if there's one very great story, John, about the Celtics going to the NBA Finals this year in their first finals trip since 2008 when they beat the Lakers, Al Horford, longtime journeyman, I think 15 seasons in, though, John, this marks his first ever appearance now in the NBA Finals. And I think it's the beauty of sports, though, my man, is seeing a guy who has devoted so much time and effort into his career, who has jumped from team to team, and now he's finally being rewarded for, the long wait now of going to the finals.
Dude, they've earned it. I think, like you said, Boston, I have to look this up, but I think you're right because they beat the Celtics the first time, and then I think the Lakers traded for like a Saul or somebody, then they came back and won next year. It's exciting. They should celebrate. They were a game away from doing it in 2018 with the young Jaylen Brown and all those guys, but you traded for another player, didn't work out. Now he's in Oklahoma City. It's exciting. Have a great time, celebrate, have a beer, have a cup of coffee. I mean, this is a long time coming, and they've earned to have their seat in the finals.
Daniel also adds on, John, I think it's a fair point here about the Heat. When players like Butler or Hero are out, you need the depth on the bench. Personally, I don't think the Heat had the depth. I think that Mr. Tom is right here, though, John, because much like about Joe Girardi, in my opinion, this is not on Eric Spoelstra, John. This is, again, a front office dropping the ball on roster procurement not the head coach who's trying to work with the roster or hand dealt to him at the stage.
And we can say whatever we want about Golden State. They had tremendous depth. The Cavs, for a very short time, had some really good depth. For a short time, another team, I can't remember them at the moment, they had some depth. You have to have, you could have great defensive players, but again, like you say, you have, in every sport, I don't know why this is a shock to anybody, that you have to have depth. If it wasn't for the Eagles having Nick Foles, they wouldn't have had that Super Bowl ring, that championship banner in the stadium. If it wasn't for, I think, KD with that team, I mean, who knows how many more championships they wouldn't have had. So it's the same thing time and time again, and you got to have that. And it's true. No excuses.
So again, folks, NBA Finals coming your way, I believe, on Wednesday, if not on Thursday, between the Celtics and Warriors. They will meet up in Game 1, coming away from Chase Center in San Francisco, California. With that, I know that my man Chris Davis has probably been waiting to kind of hear some hockey talk, as has Jacob. But of course, tonight, John, was Game 1 of the NHL's Western Conference Finals. The Edmonton Oilers, after beating Calgary in their second-round matchup, facing the very red-hot Colorado Avalanche from Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. John, you want to talk about another great start to a series? How about a 8-6 Colorado victory in Game 1 to kick off the conference final? And the Oilers almost clawed their way back into this game, though. But the Avalanche, who I have in a couple previous shows, though not here, but on different networks, though, John, I remember listening back to a program that we did back in, I want to say during 2020, maybe even 2021, when the Avs had played Vegas. And I had kind of gotten on my soapbox about Peter DeBoer, the head coach of the Knights, electing to start his backup goalie over Marc-Andre Fleury. And I still live by, and I will live by this statement and die on this hill. Colorado has probably the best forward tandem in line, probably in the league right now at this stage, and you cannot afford to give away chances or make mistakes. And this has kind of been, I think, though, John, a very big story of the year, though, is that this Avalanche offense, in my book, has got to be, it feels like, at least, it's on some type of, like, historical, like, all-time, like, pace right now, because They find a way to get production, John, from everybody who's playing, whether it's their defensemen, their centers, the forwards, and whatnot. And again, they chased Mike Smith in this game, who I really feel like, though, John, that this feels like a sweep. I don't want to count out Edmonton and Connor McDavid, but the one Achilles heel, John, as to why the Oilers are going to lose this series, in my book, goaltending. It has been a very big concern in my book. Having watched this team play during the entire course of the postseason, it was a very big issue against Los Angeles in round 1, a bigger issue against Calgary in Game 2, or in round 2, I should say, and it rears its ugly head again here because the Avalanche, John, dropped 8 goals on both Mike Smith today and also on Mikko Koskinen tonight. John, I know hockey's probably not your big forte, though. But at this point, though, John, is when you see a team, though, who for one had one tremendous regular season, but knowing that their offense is extremely lethal and they cash in their opportunities, whether up a man on the power play or in general 5-on-5, and you know that he can't give away chances. John, does a series like this, or does at least this one game, now I know it's Game 1 of at least 4 out of 7, but John, could this be a game, though, that sets the tone, though, for an early exit for Edmonton after having to go through 2 difficult rounds, though, and having very suspect goaltending in the first 2 rounds of their series played?
I definitely think it does. I'm still trying to learn hockey and other sports, so excuse me if I have nothing to say because I know nothing about hockey. So, yeah, that's really all I have to say, to be honest, because I'm still trying to learn, and I honestly don't know the sport yet.
But I will say this, though, just real quick, is about Edmonton more so here. And I think Jake and Chris may agree, though, with me, is more about the Achilles heel being the goaltending right now in regards to Mike Smith, Mikko Koskinen. Again, I think we saw Mike Smith get chased down in Game 1 against Calgary. He's been chased a couple of times as well in other games of the series so far. But I just think, though, that this finally, and for the fans like Chris who've been waiting for 20 years, 20 years now, I think, to see the Avs win the whole thing. I don't see any flaws. I mean, JT Compher scores 2 tonight. McKinnon scores a couple tonight. Landeskog scores a couple. Kadri scores tonight. Like I said, though, more so again, and again, I think that CD would agree, though, more so, is that mainly this season, Colorado has just gotten production from every guy who puts on the skates every game. And it will be the usual suspects. But then when you get guys, though, like Ryan McLeod involved and Compher involved, and you get Cogliano going, but also and here, though, John, just kind of comparing real quick, here we just talked about a team in the Miami Heat not having scoring depth. Well, John, I think what you've heard from me over the past 5 minutes here, you're seeing a team, though, who has scoring depth, though, and who probably is going to win the championship because they have so much roster depth and guys who can take the load off their main star players when it comes to putting the puck in the back of the net.
I agree. Like, I'm like I said, I'm a complete buffoon when it comes to hockey. So it's crickets everywhere. But in a couple weeks, I promise y'all, I'll definitely have some more knowledge. Callan will teach me the ways of the hockey force.
So Chris and Jake, if you guys have any more thoughts to add on, Chris, I think just says right though, let's go, baby. Yes, let's go. And Jacob, I agree, though. Mike Smith looked like Antti Raanta tonight as the Rangers Jacobs Rangers knocked out the Hurricanes in Game 7 on Monday. And also, Chris, with a quick update, Darcy Kemper left the game in the second period, suffered an upper body injury, but Pavel Franzosto stepped in beautifully, I feel like, in that situation. Jake, I guess I'll kind of throw you a bone as well, though, my man, as well. But first and foremost, though, Jacob first says, though, are you going to go with Igor or with Vasilevsky? Though, and I'm going to get to this now because we have this on here, though. Again, folks, the Eastern Conference Finals, I should say. Again, the Rangers and Lightning, I believe the top 2 seeds out east playing each other in the Eastern Conference Finals. Though, Jacob, I love the new slogan for the Rangers in the postseason in regards to no quit in NY. That's what this team has done, though, Jake, and you have seen it firsthand, though, being a Ranger fan. This club during this playoff run has had no quit whatsoever, taking down Pittsburgh, also going, being able to, take down, Carolina, who seemed like they never lost at home until, reality hit them. And maybe it's a part of the Kane trying to troll, the Rangers and the Empire State Building getting involved on Twitter. And then they go and shut down, the Hurricanes and win Game 7 there. And I think, though, more so, though, Crawford, is this. I think Adam Fox had a great quote to Emily Kaplan after Game 7 on Monday. I think you would agree, though. This team just thoroughly enjoys playing with their backs against the wall, though. And like I think I said, though, too, on Coast to Coast, though, was that, with Panarin and with, Zibanejad, I'm not counting these guys out when they were kind of, backs against the wall because Carolina couldn't win a game on the road for their lives. I mean, they lost, they were 0-7, 0-8 on the road during the postseason this season. So while I also said, though, this, and this is a very, both these series are intriguing, but I'm more intrigued by this one because here, though, folks, we have Tampa Bay, back-to-back Cup champs, though. As I said, though, on Coast to Coast, this is a team, though, trying to prove to the world we're not a fluke. Yes, we won it, though, under weird conditions in 2020 and in 2021, in 2020 and 2021 with the bubble and then the 56-game season. But now they're out here trying to prove people wrong, though, that this is a legitimately won cup, though. However, though, I still kind of lean a bit more towards the Rangers because I just feel like, though, that they're getting hot at the right time. I know, though, that the Lightning have had a few days off to kind of regroup, get themselves back on track, though. I think it's been like a 9-day layoff, though. But at least for right now, Jake, I'm on your wagon. I'm going to go right now with the Rangers because this team has had no quit. They've had their backs against the wall several times in this postseason. But then, though, I agree, though, with Chris, though, in regards to Vasilevsky and with the Lightning again, Tampa's out here to prove to everyone, hey, we're still for real. You can say what you want about COVID in 2020. Say what you want to say about last year's season, though, in the 56-game season and having to play Montreal last year. You still have to beat us, despite the circumstances, though, from 2020 until now. So I agree, though, in regards to Vasilevsky. And a quick seeding update, Tampa Bay, 3rd seed in the Atlantic. The Rangers, the Metropolitan, 2nd seed. And Christy Wilson, I think I agree, though, that the Rangers are a tough team. Both teams are. But for right now, though, Jake, I'm on your side right now. I'm going to be going right now with the Rangers in the series right now because, again, it's a team who's scrappy. I think Gerard Gallant's done a phenomenal job, though, coming in, though, after his firing from the Golden Knights, though, and stuff of that nature. And also, real quick, Jacob as well says, you don't leave the table when you're hot. Hopefully my casino rules apply to the Rangers while not taking a break. I mean, who knows? I mean, you kind of get on that run, though, Jake. You get up a few bucks, though, and, hey, you know, that roulette wheel keeps finding your jersey number, my man, on the table. You don't want to stop. You want to keep going for sure. And Jake also says, I wish someone would fight Reeves already as well. You know, Jake, who knows? I mean, I don't really know what happens here, though, but it's certainly been building. I would agree, though, but Reeves is ready, I know, though, and who knows what may happen, though, against Tampa Bay. But again, folks, 8-6, though, Colorado over Edmonton in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. But again, though, as Chris said, though, bit of a minor, perhaps, hiccup here for the Avalanche. Darcy Kemper, the starting goalie, left the game early with an upper body injury in the second period of play. But again, Pavel Francouz, though, came in relief of Kemper. And again, the Avs won the game 8-6. And again, Jacob Crawford and his Rangers open up a series with the Lightning. Eastern Conference Finals Game 1 from from the Garden, from MSG, coming your way on Wednesday from the Garden in New York City. With that, though, John, over to the ranks of college football. Again, though, John, a lot of interesting storylines here. But of course, though, J.A., this kind of goes back, though, my man, to the whole entire Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher spat that broke out a couple of days ago. But however, though, John, a quick update here from ESPN sources. Nick Saban says he should not have singled out A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher, but he did, though, add on to his comments, then defended his comments about NILs by telling reporters, quote unquote, I did not say anybody did anything wrong when asked about the NILs right now. And I think, though, John, that anybody, though, who is a college football or college sports fan, employee, as I am, and Chris is as well at USD, is I think we know what NILs would do to intercollegiate athletics, though. And I think, though, that while Saban is onto a fair point, though, John, in regards that, you know, schools can now offer more money in regards to the endorsements and, again, stuff like that, though. But I do think, though, this kind of, in a way, you know, is something I think to keep an eye on, though. But, John, how do you feel, though, more so about Saban and Fisher going at it, though, in regards to NILs and some of the comments made, though, over the past couple of weeks between both head coaches?
They're both full of crap. Like, there is no way Saban is saying that, oh, you've never paid players, blah, 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 blah. Now, like, we all know, and this is one of the reasons why I think we had issues with players in the past being banned from the NCAA or for a certain amount of time. Reggie Bush not getting his Heisman Trophy back. Come on, NCAA. I mean, I'm glad it's finally happening, but again, it's just been happening behind the scenes for a long time. And I agree, Chris. Nick Saban is full of it. I mean, you're going to tell me you never one time, even before this, didn't pay anybody? Like, stop lying. Stop it. I think on the Maury show, he could know. I don't have to be Steve Wilkos. I don't have to be Rick Maury. I don't have to be Dr. Phil to know that you both, especially Saban on this, is full of doo-doo.
I think Chris does it better, though. He just says, oh, boy. I mean, because I think, though, that Chris and I probably know, like, what NILs we're going to do. But again, with both of us working in both, you know, junior college, D1, D2 athletics, though. And certainly I know that this has added some more spice to their game, though, this upcoming season. But I agree, though, more so, John, with your side of things is, and I know that people kind of want to, you know, like, make Saban the villain, you know, because, you know, oh, they always win all the time, you know. College football always favors Saban and stuff like that. You know, like, in a way, I think it's fair, though. I think that Saban and Belichick are probably the two biggest, like, coaching, you know, like, casted villains in sports in my mind because, oh, they always win and, oh, they always bend the rules for them. Yeah, I don't necessarily think that they're a villain. I think that Saban I think Saban's onto a fair point, though. But I also think, though, it's more of one of, like, maybe you shouldn't have opened your mouth, though, because like you said, though, John, is who out there probably hasn't paid players in some capacity pre-NIL is becoming a thing, though. But John, maybe more so, though, John, on this whole entire spat, though, is what do you probably feel like, though, may in fact be like the future for college athletics, though, because we have seen so many players, with these contracts, with these whole name, image, and likeness ordeals and stuff like that. But John, maybe more so, what maybe pros and cons maybe in your mind, though, Bud, does the whole NIL thing do in your mind as an outsider looking in, though, on college athletics, though, for the future of intercollegiate athletics at every level?
I think it's exciting, but it's also very deadly because I think there's going to be a lot of false hope or verbal manipulation to get you to to come with our team. Because what has obviously happened behind the scenes, but now can happen legally, quote unquote, is, hey, let's say if I'm a 4-star recruit as a running back, oh, you come to Alabama, you get all these amazing NIL deals, but you're 3rd or 4th on the depth chart, and you get 1 year starting if you're lucky, versus a team that isn't as good but can offer you some decent NIL deals, and you get to start for 4 years, and you're a 1st or 2nd round pick. So it's kind of one of those, I think, situations where even with the NIL and other situations that happen in life right now, there's not a win-win situation because it's the same thing happening time and time again. So you're a star recruit in college, and let's just say college sports. Would you be at Alabama and have, let's say, the NIL for Lambeau, for Jack, just hypothetical, all those, or you go over here to where, okay, it's just Verizon or it's just Burger King, but yet you're going to be a 4-year starter. You're going to be pretty well known, even if the team isn't that good, and you're a 2nd round pick and you get a big contract. Like it sucks because it's not like you're going to be in the Mac Jones situation where you're going to get a chance to start. You win a national championship. You get a top 12 pick. You get to be coached by the best coach in the league. That's like a 2% chance of happening. So it's very unfortunate, but I don't think you're going to have a win-win situation here because there's more and more players that are going to go into this deal.
Chris has a very fair point, too. How convenient, though, that both Saban and Belichick are very good friends as well. And I think, though, like I said, though, is that, I think we're all made to, despise Saban and despise Belichick because they always seem to win or they bend the rules for them or they do this, they do that, though. But at the same time, again, both those coaches, honestly, regardless of what anyone out there thinks, they're 2 of the greatest coaches of their generation and probably and of all time, hands down for sure. But again, folks, Nick Saban did clarify saying he should not have called out or singled out Texas A&M head coach Jimbo Fisher, but also added on, then defended his comments about NILs by telling reporters, I did not say that anybody did anything wrong. John, does this really, in your mind, add any more flair to the dramatic for their game this year? I really think it's just more of something that's really kind of not really adding much to this fire. Because I know, of course, that Bama lost to A&M last season, but I don't think this is adding anything more to the game this year, to be very frank.
No, I don't think it's adding anything. It's just gonna be a flare, like when you and your brother argue now. Screw you, you little jerk. 12 minutes later, what's up? Let's go get a burrito and a Diet Coke. Like it's really not gonna make a huge difference. They'll forget about it and you move on. Like you see with these beats with coaches and players, it happens and then temporarily you move on. So there's really not much to it. It's not gonna affect it this season at all.
Yeah, most definitely. Folks, I wanted to spend a quick moment here real quick on this program tonight to quickly staying in college sports, but on the diamond in college baseball. Shout out both, not one, but both of my programs here, both Point Loma Nazarene University and the University of San Diego baseball teams, respectively, both on their way to both the Division I and the D2 College World Series after they both won their respective conference tournaments and won their regional tournaments. Again, Point Loma Nazarene, the D2 school I work at, a 48-8 season, having to win 2 games over Azusa Pacific over the weekend after winning Game 1. They lost Game 2, then won Game 3. They're on the way, folks, to Cary, North Carolina to play the D2 baseball championships over in Cary, North Carolina. They are facing the 7th seed from Illinois Springfield in their game, and also The USC Toreros, their first West Coast Conference tournament championship since Chris Bryant was there in 2013, led by their first-year head coach and longtime friend of the family, Brock Gungrich. They're going to be playing their first game on Friday versus Vanderbilt up in Corvallis, Oregon. And certainly, though, and John, San Diego, of course, I played baseball here, obviously, lifelong Padre fan, live and die here in San Diego and stuff like that. And at the same time, though, John, it's just so great, though, seeing, any of our programs here, the JUCOs or the D1, D2, D3s going to the big dance, and that's all you would love to see, though. And again, it happens to be here with Point Loma Nazarene. They have had so much attention with them this season in regards to, all of the publicity here from the local newspaper and local TV, USD as well this season, having a lot of great coverage as well, though. And kind of in a way, though, John, again, seeing the city kind of rally behind these programs, though, and now they're off to the respective tournaments, though. John, I guess any thoughts to pass along, though, again, seeing two local programs here in one of our areas here being able to move on to the respective postseason tournaments?
Honestly, I don't have anything to say because, I don't want to pretend like I know the sport like certain other people do, and that's really it. I'm not disrespectful to the sport. I don't know anything about it yet.
Most definitely, for sure. Jake, very nice question. I want to see what's behind. It's that thing right there. It came literally like a week after my birthday. Thank you to my good friends at Bring Hockey Back for sending that nice IHL era goals jersey to the House of Residence here. John, we'll get to a couple more topics here real quick. Again, we are going to shift gears over. Yes, it is one of the OG, that is for sure. I mean, this was right, before both of our times, honestly, Jake, at this rate. John, I did want to get to a couple of things, though, on the soccer field. One, though, of which, though, again, is kind of in a way affecting the 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup. Again, Team USA did qualify for the whole entire ordeal in Qatar, UAE this year. But now, though, John, we will, though, see the team playing a few games coming up here very, very soon, though, again, getting themselves loose. But, John, though, a interesting development here. USA men's head coach Greg Berhalter says he is going to be playing basically the entire roster ahead of the upcoming World Cup. Again, they have a couple of games coming up here to get themselves underway. Now, John, again, the World Cup is being pushed back later this year because of the weather conditions over in Qatar, over in the Middle East right now. But, John, what do you think here? Good idea, bad idea to get the entire roster work this early before you get to the World Cup at this stage, though? What do you think about this and why?
To be honest, this is not my night to talk sports. I haven't followed it, to be honest, so I don't mean to be like all word on. I haven't followed it.
I mean, I look at it this way, though, is that you're going to be getting to play games at least against some competition. They're playing a few games here in the States probably and things like that. But also, I think this is more of a thing, though. I think, John, more than anything else, to compare things real quick here, is just more of like, this is your time to shine. This is where you go out there and try to make this final roster. It's almost in a way like preseason NFL football, I'd say, preseason hockey, or for that matter, things of that caliber. And Christie says, I, for one, am not liking the idea of playing the whole roster. Then again, don't follow much soccer. Chris is on board. Love the idea. Know what the entire roster can do for you. I think more so I agree with Davis here on this. It's more of a thing, though, to, I think it's more of like the audition process. Like, this could be some guys' last chance to prove themselves to get on the roster for Qatar come 2022. Yeah, they may have the roster now, but there may be guys lying in wait, though, because of injury or stuff like that. And certainly as well, see who you got. Play that third string goalkeeper. Play that fourth string goalkeeper and see what you have, though. Play those fourth string, forwards and midfielders. And certainly, I think it's a little interesting, but certainly it is a pretty interesting strategy for sure. With that in mind, though, John, I have one more thing here I had to kind of get off my chest, though. And this happened over the weekend with the NWSL's San Diego Wave of a team that I'm writing for with via Chris and our good man David Frecker for San Diego Sports Domination. They went on the road, though. However, though, John, I really have to, say this here because I happened to come across a tweet on Sunday or over the weekend from a good friend of mine, DK Enyamo. And DK had shared a link to the game preview that was written by the San Diego Union Tribune for the Waves match against the OL Reign up in Seattle at Lumen Field. And he, I think, hit the nail on the head, though, is for some unknown reason, the local newspaper had to write a story. This is about a women's soccer match, mind you, John.
Mm-hmm.
But for some stupid little reason, let's slide in a little nugget about the San Diego Chargers playing a meaningless game against the Seattle Seahawks in 2010 at Lumen Field. For one thing, it's the wrong kind of football, as the Scott Sterling thing went on BYU TV. At the same time, though, John, I do not understand why you have to bring up a sport that, as you know very well, Alcorn, I cannot stand anymore because of the team leaving. But why in the world or why in the galaxy do you have to, write a story about a women's soccer match going on, but write about something that people like myself don't care about anymore? Why do we have to relive things in regards to, a Charger game happening in 2010 against the Seattle Seahawks? People here are trying to put that franchise, in the rearview mirror. But let's talk about the Chargers. Let's talk about, LA sports, in a paper that is supposed to be about San Diego, about the Padres, the Gulls, the Sockers, the Strike Force, the Seals, the Wave, and just that's what's more so, shaking my nerves and rattling my brain, John, is, here we're trying to, publicize and talk about a brand new team here locally who's won their first 2 home games, who had an unbeaten start to the season, and them and their expansion partners who happen to be in LA. But San Diego's on top of the NWSL standings. But sure, let's talk about the flippin' San Diego Chargers, who no one here cares about anymore, unless for some reason you follow the team up to Los Angeles. But John, this kind of in a way reminded me a lot, though, of when we went on our tangents and rants about the Bucks and the Suns last season with Stephen A. Smith and First Take ripping the cities of Milwaukee and Phoenix because it was small market teams playing for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. But John, this, I think, though, just, makes it, I think, a little more, for one, it's personal because this, this was written about, a team that we're trying to cover here with, with Chris and myself and David at our website. But also it's like, we really have to bring up that organization who, left in the middle of the morning in January for Los Angeles, California, a city here that we absolutely despise down here. So John, I don't get it. And I agree, though, more so with my man DK, who said, I wanted to read the story, but I clicked out of it after the first sentence because there was something about the Chargers playing a game against the Seahawks. And it's more of like, please do better, and I am trying to kind of be that way. I know that Chris is too with his lacrosse coverage, and I'm trying to be that way with the women's soccer coverage. But John, this just literally makes absolutely no flipping sense to, for one, you're writing a game preview, so you're writing about the game you're covering in regards to San Diego playing the OL Reign in Seattle. You're not writing about the Chargers playing the Seahawks in some meaningless game from 2010. But also, you're doing this to a first-year franchise who's new to town, who's already captivated the sports fan base here with all the soccer that we have here locally. But you still have to, needle people about the Chargers. John, I don't get it. If you have any thoughts, please say your piece. But it just, in a way, John, reminded me a lot, though, about how you, me, and our, and our friends from MI6, kind of went off, though, on ESPN about how they had covered last year's NBA Finals.
Why do you bring back old freaking pain? And I'm not a Chargers fan. I'm not a Broncos fan. I'm not a AFC West fan anymore at all. Like, dude, nobody cares. That's like me going back. Oh, by the way, remember when Jay Cutler threw 2 or 3 interceptions? I don't care if Jay Cutler threw 2 to 3 interceptions in a game years ago. I don't care about like all that other stuff. Why are you bringing back Pascal Payne? You're basically saying to the current San Diego teams, the current San Diego players, screw you. We care more talking about a team that doesn't value where they were. They don't value the city. They don't value where they were at in San Diego. They don't care. So why talk about it? What is the point? Is like talking about, let's say, as a Cavs fan, oh, remember LeBron left? What's time? And it's just so stupid. And it's like, remind you, oh, mind you, that mistake that happened, I don't want to remember. That's in the past. Who cares? It's absolutely disgracing. Very, very disrespectful.
Yeah, and I think it's, and again, I know this is like a, like men's sports, women's sports, it's not that. It's just more of like a slap in the face, though, to a franchise, who I feel like, John, and I've been a part of, I've done, plenty of, I've already been, done a few, quite a few, post-game media with, with the players and the coaching staff. And all I have heard, though, Alex Morgan, Kalen Sheridan, Kaylee Reel, and Sophia Jakobsen and Casey Stoney, the head coaches, they all have gravitated to the city already. But yet, though, you add this layer on top, though, of a publication out there recycling old water in regards to a story about, a game that, I even said the Chargers were going to lose that game against the Seahawks or whatever the hell it was. But it's more of the thing, though, in regards that this happens only because the Wave are playing the rain in Seattle at the same field where the Seahawks just happened to play as well. I mean, if you wanted to, compare that, why not go the soccer route? Bring up a game of when the Sockers played the Sounders back in the NASL. Keep it in the realm of soccer, not the brand of football that people like myself are trying to forget about in San Diego because of how that team left and how that league didn't step in and do more, and stuff. I know about, the city could have done something. I'm aware of that. The league could have done something. The ownership could have done something as well, though. But again, it is what it is at this rate. Some thoughts real quick. Chris, I agree, though. Cal, it's the UT. What else do you expect? I'm fully aware of that. Jake does also want to say real quick, a sidebar for SD Sports. Seals got robbed. Hope some of the funding goes towards getting the refs new glasses. Definitely, I think, Jake, but sadly, though, my man, partially defense, the defense going to sleep, though, but also, yeah, I mean, that's, another gut punch, seeing that team lose in that kind of fashion, sadly. Jason Barber from our good friends over at C2C says, hey guys, great show. I've been stuttering my lines all night, though. I don't know if that was great. Chris agrees, though, it wasn't the refs. Defense had gone missing. Jacob Ferber says, I agree, they blew a huge lead. However, that last goal that they called off should not have been called off, and the goal that Colorado scored was definitely in the crease. And again, I think there was, and I actually was not there, but I heard, though, there was a similar type of ordeal when they played Philadelphia, I think, in round 1 of the postseason, where there's may have been one that could have been called one way. But again, it is what it is. And more of don't let the refs dictate how the game does go. With that, though, folks, we will wrap things up for the night on this Tuesday and get into tonight's final thoughts. All right, time to wrap up shop here on this Tuesday, our first program back for sports coverage, folks. We do, though, folks, have plans right now for programming for the remainder of the week. So if you want to tune in and join us again, please, folks, feel free to do so again here. Great to be back here and talking some sports with you folks here. Mr. Alcorn, we'll go to you first, man. Your final thoughts for tonight's program are what?
It's great to be talking sports. And, well, I'm just glad to be here and just be patient with us. And we're definitely begin a lot more stuff coming out soon.
Yeah, folks, plenty coming up here. We can announce real quick from our good man, Trevor Williams, his famed 6 for 6 program where he picks 6 games for you to watch is coming back tomorrow on Wednesday back here on Ison. And again, folks, we will have a couple more. We do have plans for more sports coverage, folks. We're going to be rotating Sports Zone and Sports Mania throughout the course of the week here at this rate. But again, a major thank you again, everyone, to everyone for joining us here tonight. Again, a quick thank you here tonight to Christy Wilson, Sean Mears, David Frecker, Jacob Crawford, Steve Oliveira, and of course, our good man, Chris Davis for also joining us here tonight again to talk all things sports. But again, folks, we once more again thank you for joining us, and we will hopefully, folks, see you folks back here again over the course of the week. We'll have plenty more, folks, as we said, though. Again, we have Marvel coverage coming your way again on Sunday, and also again, though, John, Across the Galaxy episode 4 coming up on Saturday. Can't wait, man. I finally got to catch Kenobi last night and watch the first 2 episodes. Man, holy cow, my mind is still spinning from the first 2 episodes of the program.
100%. Won't say anything else, but yes.
So with that, folks, again, more sports coverage, more entertainment coverage coming your way as the week goes on. One quick final shout to my man, Jacob Crawford. Again, great way to end the night. In my night, keep it up, boys. Hey, Jake, plenty more coverage, though, man, coming your way, as we said, as the week does go on. And, hey, when we're not playing hockey, Jake, we'll be here, or I'll be here talking stuff here on ice. And, again, sports entertainment all coming your way as more time does go on. But again, folks, for John Alcorn, yours truly, Cal McClurg, saying goodnight here on this Tuesday. Check back with us, folks, back here tomorrow for more sports entertainment content back here on the Intergalactic Sports and Entertainment Network, folks. Till next time, good night and bye-bye.